and welcome back to Tati's Place. If you're new to my channel, here is my little piece of the internet where I share all about homeschooling, mothering, homemaking, and walking with Christ. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll be notified of my next coming video. So today I'm joining in on a collaboration with Ingrid at Mommy and Mia Homeschool Chronicle. I will link the playlist below along with her channel, and you can check out all the other women who are participating and sharing wisdom on 5 do's and don'ts of homeschooling. I enjoy the collaborations because it just allows me to, step back and do an evaluation, especially of our homeschool. I've been homeschooling for 11 plus years. I'm a mother of 7, so there are a few things that I know as a seasoned mom, and then still I like to pick the brains of other moms who has been doing it longer than I have. So anyway, I'm going to start off first with my 5 don'ts, okay? And I've got my little cheat sheet down here so that I remember what to say. So if you see me looking down, that's what it is. Number 1, the first thing I want to say is don't start too early. And what I mean that by don't start too early, sometimes you'll start a curriculum and they're not ready for it. Example for myself would be Latin. I started my oldest one, with Latin way too early, and I dragged him through it for a whole year, and I'm a little regretful for that, but it's something that I learned, and I learned not to do it with the other ones, and as well as start homeschooling too early. When they're not ready to read, they're just not ready to read, and you have to wait. When they are, you'll know it, and your child will know it as well. So in that aspect, it's a little bit of patience. It's a little bit of just when they're younger, playing around and learning through play, learning through nature, and learning in the kitchen. So don't start too early. My number 2 advice would be, don't get caught up in all the labels and testing. Now, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings by saying this, but when your child is labeled, let's say, autistic or with Down syndrome, we tend to follow that and not let the Lord lead. Sometimes that problem just has to be handed over to the Lord, and you do what your best, what the Lord has imparted on you. And sometimes, in most cases, to be honest with you, your child learns better from you. The same caring hand that takes care of him or her, the same one will be teaching him or her. And you have that one-on-one interaction, and it is so vastly different from them being in a public school, being in a classroom with other children, and being left behind, being forgotten. So don't fall into the trap of the labels. I understand that they are there for a reason, and I'm not knocking them in any way. Please understand, I am not. But just don't fall for everything else that follows with that label. Sometimes it's just, it doesn't benefit you, it doesn't benefit your child, it doesn't benefit your family, your marriage. The other thing is testing. Now, as homeschoolers, I know you hear so many statistics about homeschoolers are great and they're passing all these tests, but there are some students who are horrible test takers, and the test will not show that. They put on all the studies, they do all the work, but when it comes to a test, they just freeze up. And so the test doesn't show that this child can sew like there's no tomorrow and put together something so beautiful, that they can crochet, that they can handle tools. My children, by the time they're 3, because my husband is a carpenter, they know what an Allen key is. Now, your child or someone else's child may not even know what an Allen key is until they're off married and have to put together their first baby swing, So it just, the test doesn't reveal everything that child knows. The test isn't gonna say, hey, that my kid can play trumpet, or my kid can play violin, or anything like that. So tests are great. You can use them as a gauge, but please, again, don't fall into the trap of, oh, I'm not doing a great job because this test says that my kid is 2 grades below grade, 2 levels below grade level. It's not always the case. Okay, number 3, I'd have to say, do not wake up without a plan. And by that, I'd have to say, just kind of know what you're going to do. If you're not like the relaxed homeschooler that just kind of lets the day go by, some people are okay with that. I personally am not one of them, and it doesn't work for me. So I have to have at least a general layout, a general routine, or a schedule, something like that, just to say, okay, we're going to do this first, this, and then this. It doesn't matter if it takes 2 hours or 1 hour, or it just, I cannot just like up and do things. I have to have some sort of routine or plan, because if not, it just brings confusion and chaos into a large family, and you don't know what that looks like. So I'd say steer away from that. And the earlier you can train yourself to do that, the better. Number 4 would be, don't try to do it all. You have geography, you have history, Spanish, Latin, math, handwriting, spelling, grammar. It's like the list goes on and on and on. Do what you can within that time frame, and then just know that there is a tomorrow. There may be a tomorrow. 5, this is my final don't, okay? Don't think that you need to school the way you were schooled in public school. You don't have to come and bring all the decorations on the wall. Your child does not have to sit at a desk. Now, those are great, and they add a little flair to the homeschool room, or, in the life of the child, or whatever. They're great, but what I'm saying is, it's not needed to homeschool. You can use worksheets. You can use a stick in the sand. It all counts, because learning is learning, and you don't need all the fluff to hype it up all the time. Okay, so now for my 5 do's, okay? The first thing that I would like to say is, do allow for mental and physical breaks. This is because I, at one point, find myself just schooling all day, and it's just mentally draining. For yourself, for your child, you need breaks. Water breaks, break for brushing your teeth, breaks for playing, eating, snacking. Just allow yourself breaks. 2 would be allow grace. This is important because, unfortunately, there will be gaps. I've noticed this even within my own children. There are gaps, and sometimes you're like, why aren't you getting this? You should be absorbing this, and the child is not ready for it yet, and they are not perfect. That's why you're leading them, because they're in training. So you have to allow grace. But then there's another side of it where you start to get that mom guilt, and you're like, oh, why isn't he getting this? Why isn't she getting this? Am I doing everything that I can? Should I be doing more? Then you're pulling more responsibilities on yourself, and you need to allow grace for yourself, upon yourself as well. 3 would be, choose joy. Every day is different. There are going to be many tears. There are going to be times of laughter. There are going to be so many different seasons. There's going to be times when you're homeschooling and raising little ones who are just starting to rebel, trying to find their voices, potty training, young men and women, because these children do grow up, and then they're trying to connect dots. So choose grace. It's not always about schooling. Sometimes they just need someone to sit down and hear them out. And on those in that moment, we take a step back, and you acknowledge that child, and you choose joy. because you want to create memories along this road, along this journey. It is for most people from kindergarten to 18 to 12th grade when they decide to do it full time, and then now you have a newer generation to where they even college at home. So choose grace because you are creating so many beautiful memories along this road. 4 would be to define your expectations and communicate. Verbal communication is the key to all relationships. A parent and a child, marriage, co-workers. I mean, I've said this plenty of times, but they need to know what is expected of them, what is accepted, and what will not be tolerated. And then you communicate and you work together. And 5 would be just to create a positive atmosphere. It doesn't matter if you are homeschooling on a shoestring or if you're paying hundreds of dollars for curriculum. Just make the environment safe, positive, give encouraging words, great words of affirmation. That's what they need to lift up their self-esteem, to be able to move forward. And that is all I have for you all today. I will elaborate a little further on these 5 points, 10 in total, on the blog, which I will try to link down in